Deathstroke number 5, written by Kyle Higgins, art by Joe Bennett. We left off last issue with Kristoff, Deathstroke's loyal whatever, being killed by some mysterious other person using the knife of Ravager, I believe. This issue picks up with a flashback years back. Grant Wilson, aka Slade's son, and another man who we will learn is named Alex, are both doing a training, like American Ninja sort of thing. They're running through, they're hitting every target, they're jumping, but Grant is doing significantly better than Alex physically. And Slade's like, my son, of course, is doing fine. This Alex, maybe he has something in him. So they sit down, they talk to Alex later, and Alex is like, oh, you want me to impress you? Okay, here, give me your phone. So he pulls the guy's phone out of his hand, presses a few buttons, and then apparently some self-destruct thing on the other side of the phone starts going off. He's activated it for somewhere. And he's like, I did that with your phone. By the way, if I'm ever doing tech stuff, don't call me Alex, call me Peabody. So that's where Peabody came from. And then Slade's talking to Grant, and he's like, how do you think you're doing, Grant? And he's like, well, I hit every target in record time, so I think I'm doing pretty good. And he's like, it's acceptable. We're aiming for perfect. Here's your mask. And he's like, okay, why would I? It's just a helmet. Why do I need this? And Kristoff chimes in and he's like, the helmet's a symbol, something for your identity, something to fear. You have to be more than a man. You have to become with your enemy's dread. The whole Batman Begins speech. And then we cut to today where Kristoff is dead. Deathstroke is giving him burial while reminiscing on how whoever's after him is trying to make him feel isolated and alone so that he'll be weaker, but that's not actually the case. He's stronger now because he has something to get revenge for or whatever. We see him walking down the street. It's like Russia. And two people recognize him and then they like hurriedly keep moving. I don't know if that's going to be a thing, but the one says keep moving before he notices us. So I don't know if they're a thing, but I'm going to bring them up anyway. So anyway, we see him getting home. He sets up an ice bath, has himself a drink, and Peabody enters. And they just kind of talk about, like, okay, how was Kristoff found? Because people knew who Kristoff was, but they never were able to find a location. What's changed since then? And Deathstroke realizes that the only thing is that the knife, the Ravager's knife that they brought in with the mask, this is the only thing that's changed since then. And Peabody assures him, is like, I've checked it for tracking things. There's no signal being sent out of it. And Slade breaks open the butt of the knife and reveals a tracking device in there. And he's like, yeah, okay, sure. It turns out that it's actually just a microburst thing that lies dormant and then goes off every 6 hours as like a ping sort of thing. So there's no way he could have found it unless he caught it in that brief period of time. But they trace it back and it's a local address. And they break in and discover just a laptop sitting on a bed. And they're like, okay, this is clearly bait. So he turns around and sees this dude in the Legacy mask from like 2 issues ago flying in, and he's like, oh, I've been looking forward to this, Deathstroke. And he literally was flying in. He's a meta. So they start fighting each other. Deathstroke lands off some shots, and he's like, I'm far more powerful than that last Legacy. Here, let me show you. And he picks up an entire, like, Russian sub, like an entire submarine, just picks it up over his head, throws it at Deathstroke, and says, hey, Deathstroke, catch. I'm not kidding. That is the exact speech bubble. So he's like, oh, boy. Well, that was anticlimactic. Gonna go now, bye. And he flies away. And Peabody's over the intercom trying to call Deathstroke, but all we see is a bloody mask. So I'm sure Deathstroke is dead in issue 5 of Deathstroke. I like it. I think the opening does a good job of establishing more of who Peabody is, which is very useful considering that he's probably going to be the new Kristoff. It does a good job of setting up more with Grant, and then the ending is just a hell of a fun fight. You got 2 double-page spreads of a submarine coming out of the water, and then the submarine just crashing into this like warehouse district. It's just fun. The only thing's kind of whatever is these like tracking beacon thing. Like, I know they had to explain it of like how was he found. I don't know. It just feels like you could have said anything. The fact that it's the tracking beacon, it's like, all right, I guess, sure, if that's what you want to go with here. And then they had to justify why it wasn't found before. It's like, okay, just I don't care. Clearly, they found you. If you really want to get into the nitty gritty of it, go ahead. But like, it doesn't matter to me. I want to see that submarine part at the end. So yeah, no, that's this is actually very good. I'm giving this one a 7. The art is really actually very great. I don't think I've talked enough about Joe Bennett's art. He's very good here. So yeah, no, 7 for this, and I'm looking forward to where Deathstroke goes after a submarine to the face.